Hi, and welcome to Rehab Through Recipes. Today we are gonna make a sourdough starter. I so love sourdough starter. You can use sourdough starter for a pie crust, for bread. Sourdough bread is insanely good. Oh, sourdough pancakes, you will love those too. So let's get started. In here I have 2 cups of flour. To the 2 cups of flour, we're gonna add 1 tablespoon of sugar. To that, we're going to add 2 1/4 teaspoons of yeast. Now, yeast is very finicky. With yeast, you cannot use anything metal or you will kill it. The water that you put into your yeast mixture needs to be distilled water, or your yeast is not going to make it, or filtered water. To this mixture, we're going to add 2 cups of distilled or filtered water. Mine is RO water. And we're gonna dump this in here nice and slow. The water needs to be at between 110 and 115 or you will kill your yeast. Cannot add salt to your yeast mixture or you will kill your yeast also. The yeast is very finicky, so I use a glass bowl and the plastic ended on the spatula. Sourdough starter also takes about 3 to 5 days to make. So after we do this initial step, we will need to do some time lapse so that the yeast will marry into the flour and give you the hooch, which is where you get the sourdough from, or the sour to make a sourdough. So after you mix it all in, we're gonna cover it, and you don't have to break all the flour balls. The yeast will eat away at it. We're gonna do that. We're gonna cover it and we're gonna let it sit for a couple days, 2 to 5 days, and we'll be back after that. Okay, it's been about 2 days, and as you can see, the sourdough rose all the way up to here. And when you're making your sourdough or starting your sourdough, make sure you use a container or a glass bowl that's big enough to allow for the rise. And as you can see, all the dots or the bubbles that are right here, it's starting to get a little hard, so that means we need to turn it. So we're going to go ahead and move it around. And once your sourdough is set, probably in about another 2 days, as you can see the nice gumminess of this, but once your sourdough is set in about 2 days, you're going to want to feed it. You feed it 1/2 cup of warm water, again warmed all the way to between 105 and 115, and 1/2 cup of flour. Then you can start using your sourdough. Give it to a friend, make some pancakes, make some bread, pie crust, anything that you like. Okay, so we'll see you in a day or 2. Okay, so 2 days have gone by and it's time to feed the dough. I have here a cup with water that is at 110 and I have flour. Every 2 days you'll need to feed your dough 1/2 cup of water, 1/2 cup of flour. Unless you use it more often, then you can feed it a cup of flour and a cup of water, but it's always 1 and 1. So I wanted to make a point to you guys. You see the rise from the first one, and here's the rise from the second one. The thing I wanted to share with you is that if you don't see a rise, your yeast may be bad. And yes, you can buy yeast from the store and it will not have any activating powers. So, okay, let's turn it. See, this is the shell. You don't want your dough to get too much of a shell. So let's dunk that in there. 1/2 cup of water at 110 degrees. And 1/2 cup of flour. So there you have it. Now I'm going to stir this up, let it rise a little bit, and I'm going to use it to make pancakes today as well as sourdough bread.